one of you in this room has some value. If you don't buy it inside, it doesn't mean anything.
For the last 30 years, Jim Tuman's mission has been to guide people through their emotional pain and allow them to heal. His message is clear: love yourself and tell people in your life that you care. They listen and respond.
And I haven't said, I love you to my father, but you know damn well where I'm going as soon as I get out of here.
Sitting in this 1988 Garden City High School audience, then sophomores Lisa Kroll and Michelle Shute were touched by Jim's words.
People were talking about suicide attempts that they had had in their family or them, and people were just comforting each other. It was really emotional.
I heard hope, a lot of hope that we were loved. Excuse me. That somebody cared. Somebody really understood what was going on all different levels with all of us.
He was talking about crazy things like being nice to each other and not bullying each other and taking care of each other. Because of it, we became a much stronger, tighter group. Still to this day, I feel like our high school class and our group of friends are just really close and look out for each other, and that I really do attribute it to Jim's assembly, because we weren't like that before. And so it was a really life-changing event.
Every one of you in this room can make something happen in your lives. Now go out and do it. Thanks for caring. I know people that have compromised their entire lives for this.
At 75 years of age, Jim is still on fire, passionately delivering his timeless message, connecting with teens.
I had a very lonely childhood, very challenging childhood. It was not a childhood that was safe. It was a childhood where I always felt like I needed to be doing something that they approved of. When it was my birthday, and this is a vivid memory, he would come through the door and he would, my mom would whisper in his ear, "It's Jimmy's birthday." And he'd go over and he'd take $5, $10, and he would give it to me and he said, "Happy birthday, son." And I realized through my own painful childhood that I would focus on, young people. The more vulnerable I was, the more the ability for me to reach these kids. I really hold up a mirror for them. So through me, they mirror their own lives. And then they insightfully look at what their pain is, their loneliness, their isolation. And it's very profound for them.
Awards cover the walls of Tuman's Royal Oak, Michigan home. He received them from presidents, senators, universities, and other nations for his work and service to youth. When he was named Michiganian of the Year in 2000, he invited his father to attend the dinner in his honor. Instead of giving an acceptance speech, Tuman used his time at the podium to begin the healing between them.
But I said to everybody in the audience, I said, "I'm the richest person here tonight. My father's here." I said, "Pop, stand up." I said, "Pop, I know you never really approved of my choices. I know you wanted me to be more like you and my brother Robert and have a very stable life and go into business with him. But that wasn't my calling and I couldn't do that. What I did do was follow my own dream in my own heart. And I don't know what possessed me, but I said to him, I said, and Pop, I'm going to keep trying harder and maybe someday you'll really be proud of me." And I look out and he's starting to cry. And I walk out and I put my arms around him and his head is bouncing on my chest and he's just crying. And I was holding him. And it was the first time in my whole life I knew he was proud of me. And he went back to California and I didn't see him again. He died.
Raise your hand if you come from a divorced family.
I can actually feel my audience. I can feel them. And as I'm speaking, by looking in their faces, I can feel where they're at, and I can feel if I'm reaching them.
Have you had a good time at Hobie?
I've had an excellent time at Hobie.
What's been your favorite memory so far, up to Saturday night?
My favorite memory was definitely our conference with Jim Tuman. He was an amazing guest speaker.
What did you learn from Jim?
Jim told us that we don't have a lot of time and we just need to realize that and make everybody thankful that's in our lives.
Jim was on the leading edge of the motivational speaker movement and was one of the very first youth speakers. In the 1980s, schools had never experienced a speaker like Tuman and were overwhelmed by the intense emotion generated by his talks. Many were reluctant to invite him for an assembly.
That all this emotion scared them, and that anytime kids cried, it was usually, you know, more of a negative than a positive. And yet in my eyes, no kid would ever come to the mic unless they chose to do it and they felt it was important that their voice be heard.
It's funny because, you know, Jim's delivery sometimes can be really loud and pushy, is coming out this way, but saying, this is how much I care.
That's what drove him, because no one had done it before. He's a trailblazer.
He made enormous sacrifices to serve the kids. On many occasions, he put in his own money for the printing or whatever it took to do the meeting. Well, Jim didn't have a lot of money at the time, and he was living in his car. And he was speaking to kids. He started with one school, and then it was 2 schools, and and then now he's literally 150 schools ask him to come every year.
This was my mission. This was my purpose. And it is my great belief to this day that if you find your purpose, it's a gift from God. If you fulfill your purpose, it's your gift to God.
I think that's part of his gifting, is that he just, because he comes out of nowhere and he speaks to so many different people, what's going on inside. And I know that's a gift because, again, all different walks of life, different ages of kids all over, the planet. It's the same thing.
Tuman's life lessons continue to be heard around the world. His words were carried east through a Japanese documentary.
Because I did not want to speak down to them. I wanted to share with them.
Teens attending Action Quest, a motivational sailing program in the British Virgin Islands, listen to a cassette tape Jim recorded in the 1980s. His timeless message still resonates, inspiring some young sailors to call home and tell their families they care.
Now with social media, kids come out of my past, heard me speak 30, 35 years ago, and remember it to the moment, talk about how profound an impact it made in the choices of their lives, and then how basically it changed their lives.
Like so many others who heard Jim speak at their high school years ago, Lisa Kroll searched the internet and found Jim when she needed him. She says Jim's talk at her high school changed her life, and now she needed his help to heal her son's school after a classmate committed suicide.
After he spoke, there were children lined up for an hour just to hug him and talk to him, and I thought, this is crazy. This brings me right back. There are so many kids in pain at this high school, and I remember what that felt like. And there was one girl in particular, she was sobbing, and earlier that day, she had cut herself. She had cut her arm, and she'd written in blood on the bathroom wall, "Help me." I met with her once a week, and from that, we started a program at Howell High School called the PTMO, the Parent Teacher Mentoring Organization. He's been a great mentor to me.
Eric Hipple, From Unknown to Hero, a tale told only in books, in song, and in film.
Back Eric Hipple after losing his 15-year-old son to suicide. Hipple wanted to channel his grief and energy into reaching people in pain.
After his death, I went into a horrible tailspin, and coming out of it was I want to do something about it, you know, and so I went and learned suicide prevention, first of all. I went and got trained in it. Second of all, you know, I wanted to make a difference, and that led me to trying to find somebody that, you know, that could kind of help me in this space, because I knew nothing on how to go out and talk. And I found Jim Tuman. We connected, and I asked if he would help me, and he said, you know, I can help you, and but I want you to be serious about it. I don't want to waste my time if you're not going to be serious about it. And I'm serious, you know. So it was actually life-changing, because, you know, from that little bit, you know, that launch of it, I was able to take what he taught me and be passionate about it. And it was that passion, dedication, and kind of that drive that I learned from him that kind of pushed that envelope open and said, okay. And it started resonating, started happening.
Tuman also mentored youth speaker Kevin "Mr. Peace" Zawala, who uses hip-hop to talk with kids about what's important in life. The delivery is different, but the message is on target with Tuman.
I feel safe, I feel love, come on and celebrate it. So starting right now, I'm going to make a pledge to treat everyone like I treat my best friend. I'm saying now.
Jim gave me a sense of purpose, and I can't thank him enough being having that heart-to-heart connection that you can actually save lives through your words. And I've seen it happen live in Jim's talks, and now to see that fruit coming out of my assemblies and, you know, where I'm at as a speaker, it's life-changing for me.
As a teenager, Greg Sears heard Tuman speak and became a lifelong friend who also carries Jim's message forward.
Jim actually got sick once and couldn't get on an airplane, and I performed his speech for him. And then I performed it again and again and again and again. And it grew into my own program, and it grew into something that I shared with young people. And he was okay with that. He was okay with being my mentor. He was proud to be someone who guided me on this path, this messy, uneven path of life.
It was always an honor to be able to mentor, you know, all of these people to continue on that message, which is not indigenous to me. It should be a universal message, and as my wife Jan says, you know, it is a universal and it's timeless.
From his career to his personal life, Jim Tuman has never followed a traditional path. He met and married the love of his life at age 64. They were engaged at Disney World's Toontown inside Mickey's house.
And we get in line, and Mickey's there. So we get up there, and he gets down on his knees, and he opens up the backpack, and he has a sign, and he has the ring, and it's like, you had me at hello, will you marry me?
They were married in 2006 in an unusual ceremony.
I had one maid of honor. He had 30 groomsmen. He invited 400, I invited 40, you know, kind of our way of life. And I think a lot of them showed up just to see if Jimmy was really going to get married.
When people were filing in at my wedding, it was, I started to cry. And the reason I started to cry was I looked out at this group of people, and there was every race, every religion, every background, every socioeconomic, very rich, very poor, straight, gay. All these people came to be part of something that was special to me that day.
The Tumans live on separate sides of Michigan, but talk 10 to 15 times a day. They share a passion for kids. Jan is a school administrator on the west side of the state. Jim is in southeast Michigan.
Although a lot of people don't understand how we live, since he is in the city most of the time and I'm back, you know, in the country most of the time, the thing that makes that work is the trust and the love.
She inspires me more than you can even begin to believe, because she believes in me. No matter where I am in the country, and if I'm speaking, she will call me up. Sometimes she'll get me, sometimes she won't. Sometimes she'll leave a message. And she'll say, you know, I know you're going to make a difference in a kid's life today. I love you and I believe in you. Now, it doesn't get any better than that.
He's a good man. He's kind. He is devoted to what he does, and his help is not just extended to those people that he knows. He is the same way with everyone.
A strong first marriage late in life is proof of Tuman's never give up, there's always a way philosophy of life. As he often says, there is no such thing as a sold-out concert.
I've been to the Oscars, the Emmys, the Grammys, the Tonys, the ESPYs, the American Music Awards. And the one left for me to do is the Golden Globes. So that's on my goals list. As far as sporting events, I've been to 6 Olympics, been to 3 World Cups, I've been to 16 World Series, I've been to 17 Super Bowls, and you name any other sporting event, chances are I've been there as well. My theory of life, and I borrowed it from Woody Allen, is 80% of life is showing up. And the magic is in showing up. And I started realizing that if I was there, magic happened.
He's always of the belief that no matter what, you know, they're going to get in. We get there, and it's like, you know, 15, 20 minutes, he's got tickets in his hands, and we're walking in. And it's, you know, it's an amazing thing. But you know, he truly believes, you know, no sold-out concert, no, there's always going to be a seat for him and for me. And he lives it. I mean, it works. I don't know how, but it does. It does.
It's taken me all over the world with limited funds and given me great, great experiences that I never would have had without this philosophy.
And you know Jim, he wants to do it all, and he wants to have experienced it all before he leaves the planet.
And he came to me and he told me that he likes to experience things. And I said, okay. And I said, well, how can I help you experience things? He said, well, for example, what can I do to be on stage? I think we were doing The Barber of Seville, if I remember right. And I said, I'll give you a part, put you in a costume, and you'll just come in and deliver something to the character. And he loved that. I think I helped him do his experiences, and he did many.
As Tuman searched for his life's purpose, he explored many traditional career paths with Fortune 500 companies, as a tour guide and public relations professional. But the business world was not ready for Jim's outlandish ideas. In fact, some of his creative PR stunts landed him jobless.
He was a free spirit, and we loved him. I mean, that's how I knew Jim. It was just somebody who just wanted to try everything. Oh, David, I'm gonna be in this parade tomorrow. I said, oh, great. What are you gonna wear? I said, I think I'll be a clown.
Crashing parades dressed as a clown became Tuman's trademark. His fun, childlike nature was contagious. At times, business and community leaders dressed as clowns and joined him.
He morphed into somebody that really wanted to make a difference. And then we became aware, and I became aware of what he was doing. And
Tuman's speaking career led to the creation of many programs designed to give young people an opportunity to discuss the challenges in their lives and the lives of their friends. He is particularly proud of a program he calls Jimmy's Kids. This one is not about talking, it's about action.
My name is Chris Merchant, and I've been involved with the Jimmy Kids program for about 6 years now. I do it every year because I like helping people. I like the families, I like the connections that we have with them, and it's a great experience for me.
Every Christmas morning, Jim leads hundreds of Christian, Muslim, and Jewish volunteers to a Southwest Detroit neighborhood where they surprise families in need with toys, food, and holiday wishes.
It's just nice to be able to do some charity, and even though I don't celebrate this holiday, I can use it as a way to reach out and help other people celebrate.
Many of these people don't know that you're coming. The homes that you go to may not have, may have broken windows. I mean, it's just really bad neighborhoods. And to have the door open and have these kids see you with a bag and have the kids open up the bag, see the toys inside, the gifts inside, it's really something. Jim Tuman, he's made a really significant difference. You know, I'm from the Muslim community. He's brought together people from the Muslim community like myself, people from the Jewish community like our partners at the Jewish Community Relations Council, from the Christian community, to help in this Jimmy's Kids program, something that we had been struggling to find things to coordinate and struggling to meet each other. And he's been able to find a commonality that we all have, wanting to help young children enjoy something special in their life. And you know, that's why we love Jim.
There was over 1,500 people show up to deliver to families in the poorest area of Detroit, to families who didn't know were coming. This in itself is what I think the true spirit of the giving season is about. You really have been a true, you know, inspiring human being on this planet. So
It's all about relationships for Jim Tuman. He won't use email or text to communicate because he wants to talk face to face.
He wants to see you. He wants to, you know, hug you if you need it. And emails are so impersonal. And texts are handy, but, you know, they're not like having a conversation. It's so impersonal. And you'd never use that word for Jim. He's right there with you every minute.
But authentic communication, which he does in his arena when he speaks, is what I think a lot of us are missing, because we want connection, and we try it through texting and we try it through emails, but it's not a connection. Connection is eye to eye and heart to heart with a person.
He recently gave a TED Talk.
Take 10 seconds and ask yourselves, how do I want the people in my life who I love and who love me to remember me? And put it up at the top of the list in your life and live it out.
And played himself in an anti-bullying movie, A Girl Like Her, challenging people to be kind to each other.
Raise your hand if you have a best friend. Now raise your hand individually and tell me, what makes that person a best friend to you? Yes.
They love me no matter what.
They love you no matter what. Yes.
They never ask me to change.
They never ask you to change. Anyone else? Yes.
They're always there for me.
Always there for you. Phenomenal. But the question I ask all of you is, why didn't you say the grades that person had, sports they played, cars they drove, money that they did and didn't have? Anybody?
That's irrelevant.
It's not important, doesn't matter? Then why do we believe so much that it does matter? The big question is, where do some of you go to be safe?
He says things have never been tougher for kids, and his focus will remain bullying and suicide prevention.
You know, you'd think he would just kind of relax and say, okay, I've done my piece on earth, and I want to enjoy my retirement. Not Jim, okay? I don't think he'll ever feel completely finished, because there are injustices out there the way he sees them, but there's also people that need somebody that cares.
Jim wants to really fix what's wrong with the world, sincerely fix it. He has a plan. He doesn't just say there's a problem, oh, it's a terrible problem. He says, here's a problem, and what I'm going to do is this. Follow me.
People can be kinder. People can be more empathetic. People can be more understanding. It is my mission to every day get up and do something of kindness to another human being.
I think we're all better for having known Jim and for having been with him, and certainly the kids that are in his audience. There's never been a greater need than there is today. So because Jim recognizes that, and he calls me all the time to remind me to keep me going too, that there's, you know, it's not a time for us to slow down, it's a time for us to move forward.
I can see that he will continue to speak for as long as he can, make it happen. I believe, and I think I have proof, that the message he has will be timeless no matter when he says it. And it's important that it gets out there, because no one does it like Jim.
Because I'm always teasing Jan, you know, I could be on a beach someplace, and Jan looks at me and says, you know, you won't be happy. You won't be fulfilled. Because this is fulfilling. And I'm a fighter. I don't give up.
Hey Jim, it's Greg. All that stuff we've been talking about all these years just came to a head last night. I almost died last night. I was on a plane that almost crashed. It was the scariest thing that I've ever experienced in my whole life. We landed at an abandoned military base in Greenville, Texas, and there was smoke in the cockpit. Oxygen masks were deployed. The pilot, I helped the flight attendant open the doors, and a guy with me helped people out of the plane. It was the most profound, life-altering, crazy thing that's ever happened to me, Jim. I'll talk to you soon. I love you, and I want to thank you for reminding me all this time what I just got reminded.